I gotta find an easier way to switch all these things on and off. How's everybody doing? I gotta catch up on the live chat. Tyler Britton, hey man, what is going on? And we have Rohit from India over here, Hip Metalworks. We've got Oshi from Bangladesh. Apologize if I butchered your name there, mate. Ray, Ezekiel, Tim Russell guitar. How's everybody doing today? What's everybody up to? I assume everybody can hear what's going on at the moment, which is a good thing, right? I'm going to maybe play one more tune for all of you, and then, yeah, fire away with questions. Let me know how you're all doing today and what's going on, what's keeping you interested in the good old guitar. I'm going to play this one, I think, because you probably caught the very end of it. Let's do this.
Takes a lot to know, selling yourself short. Dig another hole to find yourself a home. All I want to know, can you find your soul? Buried in the sweat of blood and cold confusion.
So that was a ragdoll song called Letting Go. The song before was also a ragdoll song called Dreaming Out Loud. Both of those songs, we've actually never played the previous one, Dream Out Loud, live before, and we only just recently started playing Letting Go live after like 6 or 7 years, and it's super, super fun. It's one of those songs that require a lot of rehearsing and a lot of practice. It's like our attempt to put like a Racer X style riff with I don't know, drop C at the same time. So something like that anyway. Let's see, where are we at in the chat? What am I using for noise reduction? Nothing on my voice at the moment. So yeah, anyway, Daniel asked about the opening song, Dreaming Out Loud. You can get the entire Ragdoll album that it's on, Back to Zero. It's on my channel. It's on, you know, all the other streaming platforms as well. And that one was called Letting Go. We got George from Greece. This seems to be a pretty good time. We're catching a lot of people on the planet who are awake at the moment. And Mando, what's up, man? I hope you're very, very well. Is that E flat? It's drop C at the moment. I'm still breaking this new guitar in, so people might have noticed I did a video earlier in the week with Fractal's Cab Lab, and I was playing this. So yeah, I've had it for a couple of days. I literally took it out of the box and did a whole rehearsal with it, so it's pretty good. I haven't messed with the setup or anything like that for drop C. It's very, very good for standard at the moment. So yeah, for anyone interested, this is an SE version of the DGT, which people have been asking me to check out. Jeff McErland. Hey, Jeff, what's up? Very, very nice to see you in the chat. I hope you're doing well. And we got Dave from Sydney. Thoughts on the progress with the Quad Cortex? Don't see you do much with it. It's a good question. I saw they released the software editor. So one big motivating factor for me doing videos with modelers is if they have a software editor, I can screen cap the software editor, and it makes my life so much easier. Trying to film a touchscreen and actually have it look good on a video is very, very frustrating. So I mean, I do have two cameras. I've got two of the same camera that I'm using at the moment. It's really easy to film pedals, but trying to get a touchscreen dialed in is, man, it's just more work than I care to do. So it always discourages me from that. Whereas if I can take a screen capture in QuickTime of something, so yeah, I am going to do something with the QC, and yeah, I'll do it with the editor. Maybe when the editor is closer to a full release. There's a few quirks with it at the moment, but I'm very overdue to do a video with that. But yeah, I think it's nice that everything's coming along, and there's a capture I made of my ADA MP1 in there that I really, really like every time I turn it on, and I just end up playing that. I think it captured it really, really well. It sounds great. Yeah, not enough PRS guitars, exactly. I have 7 now, so yes, it's a proper addiction. Where are we at in there? And shout out to Wolfstand Music as well. Where else? Quebec. This is awesome. Do you use IRs from your Axe FX or custom IRs? I'm using my own IRs in this. If anybody's interested in the patch, which I'm sure some people are, I will should be able to do this. Hey, look at that. Yeah, so I mean, it looks like there's a lot going on in this patch. There's a few blocks for specific scenes, and this is on the 3, so I can totally overload it and go crazy with it. But this top, like these 3 blocks at the top, are used for one scene. They're used for this sound, which I know a lot of people are gonna dig. If I turn the tuner off, it's even better. You know, it's got that thing going on. That's not it. Embarrassing myself here. But yeah, that's basically doing a Rockman style thing. And yeah, if I want to slap some fun. modulator is in there just for a variation on my lead scene. So it's doing an octave down thing. You set the pitch tracking on and you get something pretty awesome, I think. That's what that's doing anyway, so yeah, some fun stuff. And the other parallel thing up here, I've got a plex delay into a tremolo. That's to cop the kind of eventide undulator style thing, which I get is like used for one song. I'll play the song in a second, but you have that. Another thing with this filter block, again, I'll break down the essentials in this because I spend 95% of the time on two scenes here, but then the lo-fi scene is for the little intro for Rust. So you hit it and the ADSR sweeps a low pass filter. It goes like this. And then it goes away. So it sounds better when you can't hear the string noise in my microphone, but basically with this whole preset, like I've done this before, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to eliminate the things that I pretty much don't need on here. So undulator stuff is for one scene, and this is that Rockman clean sound. Don't really need that. I don't really, use that octave down lead scene for one thing. Again, this is for the Rockman sound. I do use the rotary. I do use the multi-tap and the delay. I mean, that filter thing I could do with a wah. Pitch detune. I mean, am I going to go without pitch detune in my life? Probably not, but again, that almost doesn't need to be there. I don't mean that. Apologies, pitch detune. And then the multi-band comp and the parametric and the gate, they're just doing very, very specific things. And again, this extra delay, don't really need it. So this is actually the stuff I use all the time. Everything else is just pixie dust because I can. That's it. So it looks like a complicated patch, but in my brain, it's actually a very simple patch, and I'm using certain blocks just to perform really specific types. So is this a plugin or is it pedalboard software? This is Axe Edit. This is the software that you can use to control the Axe effects, or if you've got an FM9 or FM3. And George wanted to know about gapless switching firmware. Yeah. Oh, J.A. Allen has caught it already. Yeah. If it was another company, they would be like, yeah, definitely, it's coming soon, bro. So, yeah, I really, really hope it makes a lot of sense if it comes to the FM3 and FM9 because they're the, on-stage performance processors, right? So that would be awesome. And YouTube Studio is saying now would be a good time to insert ads. So I don't think you all need an ad to remind you to, brush your teeth or, an ad for something to shave your pubes. So I won't turn that on. And we have David in California. I miss America, man. I want to come back. Sad Wings. Yeah, hit the likes, everybody. Push it out to lots of people. We've got over 50 people in here, so let me know where you're from. Let me know if you've got questions about stuff. With the FM3, what's your favorite amp block for getting edge of breakup? Good point. Very, very good point, Dave Ryan. Let's explore that one. And Corey want to know what my favorite distortion pedal is. Oh, man. Let me think about that, Corey, because there's quite a few, so... And Fender 1960 CS, I am doing very well today, mate. Likewise to everybody in here. So let's see. And I'll get to Benno Quinton's question in a second as well. Let me just trash this preset for a second. So, yeah, for the edge breakup thing, my kind of go-to is the AC20. I really, really like that. And this is cool because there's a coil tap on this guitar, right? So one thing I like. Okay, so I'll walk you through my process for the edge of breakup thing. If you don't want to use a drive, if you've got a coil tap on your guitar, go to the neck pickup coil tap. So there's a little bit of... I like that kind of like the on the low notes. And Scott Brockway is in Idaho. Awesome, man. Idaho is like potatoes in Idaho a thing? Is that the joke? You know, people in Perth, you know, they make fun of us for there just being desert and beach and nothing in between. So anyway, AC20, really, really easy. You just turn the gain control up until you get some breakup. I'm going to turn my mic off for a second, but I'll show you the process, and then you go to humbucker mode and you'll get a bit more grunt out of it. It's guitar dependent, but everything's guitar dependent. Man, that Rich Hall reverb is good. Anyway, and a Sensitive Sunday Jam. All right, we can definitely do that in a second. So that's how I'd go about replicating that. What do I think about the SE PRS? Look, first up, I mean, this is like more than a quarter. It's nearly a fifth of the price of a brand new DGT core here. So if you're doing that comparison, it compares really, really well. The frets, I'm pretty sure are the same frets. The neck on this is actually a little bit wider and a little bit chunkier, which I kind of like. I know some people have mentioned that to me, that they actually kind of prefer the necks on the SEs than the core DGTs. The core DGTs are a little bit thinner. I like both. I'm kind of not too fussy. But yeah, this is definitely a bit chunky. I did a gig with it last night. Very, very comfortable. The trem on it's really, really good. You know, I'm not sure what material the saddles are made out of, but they are different. The pickups, I think, are the same spec, just manufactured overseas. It's, man, for what you pay for one of these here in Australia, it's a great guitar. So yeah, it passes the smell test. So Fender 1960 CS. I recently started using surfboard wax to darken and condition my rosewood fretboards. Really pleased with the results. Makes it very easy to glide around the fretboard. I've never tried that before. I've never really heard of anybody using wax on the fretboard, but you know, you put wax on a surfboard and it makes it like kind of enjoyable to use, right? So yeah, maybe that's one for a future test video. That's really, really interesting. Really, really interesting. And yes, Mando, you do need a gold top. You should definitely get one of these. Ray back, as I've missed your question, Ray. We'll do some Sensitive Sundays in a second for Sad Wings Raging, but I want to get to this one. It's possible to get that killer Axfex gain tone with the Neural DSP Soldano. So let's go back to the gain patch. The amp that I'm using there is the Boogie Mark IV model. So you might have better luck with the 2C Plus plugin that Neural DSP did, which I think sounds really, really good. Did I do a video with that? I think I did. I think I did a kind of like plug-in roundup video. So yeah, that will probably get you closer. What we got? We got Omaha. We've got, man, we were meant to play in Nebraska one year, and for whatever reason the date got moved to somewhere else. And I was bummed because I was like, I've always like, you know, that's just one state for some reason I've always wanted to go to. Do I have a guitar with a kill switch? I don't. All right. Man, you guys have been awesome with these super chats. Thank you. How would you set a Boss G70 at a Sykes tone going into a 5153 Stealth with a Les Paul traditional? Okay, let's do this very, very quickly. I'll bring up from my blocks library a 5150 style tone, probably using a preamp boost. Okay, so this might be kind of close. Look, this is going to be an approximation. So what I would say, don't put lemon oil on your surfboard though. Yeah, that's a good one. Oh, you mean on Sunday put out a good one? Alrighty. I could do a live Saturday one for all of you, but it's coming. It's coming. What do I have scheduled for this Sunday? Something. There's always time. There's always time. Anyway, what are we doing? So, you know, a lot of people set up an amp, you do this. Yeah, more good. Okay, so what you can do is turn the gain down a little bit, and if we're going to use a 7-band EQ, I'll just approximate it with the 7-band EQ in here. So what are the frequencies on a Boss? Nevertheless, basically putting it pre-gain, and you want to cut out a little bit of low end, so do a bit of this, and you want to smooth out a bit of high end, but these like 800 and 1600 sliders are where the action's at. So if I pump these up quite a bit, let's give them like 6 dB each. This is where the juice is going to come from, right? So you go from kind of gives you that slightly nasal mid-range, almost a cocked wah thing on there. So you give it a bit of this, pull out a bit of this, you know, and then pump up the level slider, sort of give you a boost, and then that way I'll turn my mic off so you can just hear it isolated. You go from like a crunch sound to a really saturated lead sound. Anyway, that's how I would do it. The idea is, what did John use on that album? Boogie Mark III Coliseum. So, yeah, you're trying to get some of that boogie pre-EQ going on. You should be able to get kind of close in there. So, yeah, again, thank you for that. We have, don't put lemon juice on your fretboard either, you know. Isn't lemon oil just basically like scented mineral oil anyway? So, oh, well, scented, there's probably something going on in there. Suffered from Roger's Dark Side of the Moon redux yet? Look, I got a minute into one song and I tapped out pretty hard on there. So, yeah, the less said about that. And hello, John Brown. The aerodynamic one has arrived. Everybody should go and subscribe to John Brown's channel. It's excellent, and if you like speakers like I do, it's basically the best thing ever. Yeah, it's pretty rad. Someone mentioned the Soldano thing. I have a variation of my live preset here actually with the Solo 88, so this is pretty fun. It's got a different thing going on to the boogie, and this will hopefully illustrate the differences. I'll let you hear a side by side. I should turn my mic off. Yes. I need a bit of workflow for this. I need a, what do they call those things? Stream Deck or something like that, so I can manage all of this and not be like, here we go. Nothing but boiled linseed oil. Yeah, it's interesting. I've been using the Dux Deluxe Axe Wax for like, I bought like maybe 3 of those containers and they're still going. They just feel like they never ever run out. So I don't know what's going on in there. Hey, the Dan Val. Speaking of, you must have just had, You must have been able to smell that we were talking about boogies on the air. I hope you're well, mate. Lynch just felt a disturbance in the force. Playing Lynch licks with a boogie is, yeah, we don't do that, do we? Using the neural DSP Soldano to get the killer fractal gain tone, is it even possible? I mean, you can probably make it sound like the Soldano model in there, but probably not the Mark series lead thing. I think they're different enough. Where are we at? Oh, well, it feels good. Up and down and in and out. Yeah, man, what an album. All right, we need a quick poll. It's the first Lynch Mob album is the better one, right? Even though the second one is absolutely slamming. The fact that River of Love and For a Million Years are on the first one just makes them absolutely unfathomably good. So, yeah. What's up, Bob? I was thinking about you, actually. I need to write to you because there was some, some reverbs and things like that have come out. And, yeah, anytime I see that, I think of some of the chats we've had. So it's nice to see you in here, mate. Where are we at? Who else? This one's from Sevenless. Okay, this is a good question. Recently got laid off and I'm hoping to write a bunch of material for my band. The thing is I'm putting a bunch of pressure on myself to be productive and it's crushing my creativity. Tips. I think you have diagnosed the, what would it be? The dissonance in there. I think one thing that I found, when the pandemic smashed down on everybody, I was like, can't leave the house. Awesome. I'm just going to write so much music. And it turns out having the, having an apocalyptic atmosphere for a while actually doesn't make you want to be creative. I know it may have worked for some people. I know some people who got really busy with it. But yeah, I did not write entire albums worth of material just because I was at home. I was sort of like hanging out with my wife and trying to do like nice things, like maybe cook a meal or, make a nice coffee in the morning and do a few things like that and look after the cats, go for a walk when you're allowed outside, all those kind of things. So yeah, that stuff, the things that I really take for granted about, being able to do everyday things kind of became a priority and that was kind of nice. Yeah, and everything else flows from that. So I remember a friend who's, an older person. They've been through the laundry cycle that is the music industry over and over again, for a few decades. And they made this really good point where they were like, yeah, if you think about, they were talking about performing. They're like, yeah, if you think about performing, imagine you have to like give some of yourself. So you imagine yourself like a cup full of water, right? And, if the cup's only full and you start dishing out water from there, well, you get depleted. If you want to make sure that your cup's always full, you got to find a way to get that cup to overflow, and the energy and the performance aspect of it should be the overflow. It shouldn't compromise what's in the cup. So yeah, that analogy I would use there, where there is definitely something to be said about, if you want to write things, having discipline around it, and finding a time where you can sit down and you can at least attempt to do some work. But staring at a computer monitor and a DAW for 8 hours probably isn't going to be super productive. So my advice would be, if you can find a regular time during the day where you can sit down for 30, 45 minutes, 15 minutes and turn your phone off. If you've got the, if you've got the ability to not have a lot of interruptions, that's obviously easier. It's not realistic for a lot of people, but you can just find that 15 to 45 minutes and you just sit down and just tell yourself, I'm just going to play some guitar and I'm going to have some fun. That's it. You could record the whole thing if you wanted to. Just press record, keep it out of your mind, just play. Try to get into that sort of flow state. I think that's what we're really chasing with this kind of stuff. Play, and then, I would even say, just try play for 30 minutes and see what you come up with. And then later in the day, take 15 minutes to skip through that recording and pick out parts that you like, catalog them, start to build that up. And then once you've got, a little kind of thing of fun ideas kicking around, you could try that. So that would be my advice, and see how that works. And, you're putting the emphasis back on the reason you enjoy the instrument rather than songwriting being a substitute for a job. You don't want it to be that. You still want it to be creative and you want it to be fun. So yeah, that would be my advice. Try it out. You can come back and say, Leon, you gave me the worst advice I've ever had in my life. You're obviously a moron, which is also totally fine. So I would just, encourage you to keep having fun with it. And if you don't write some stuff, you've still spent your time enjoying yourself. That's the most important thing. Would you rather have a bunch of fun and not necessarily be creative, but you spent, 45 minutes every day really enjoying yourself, and, it's probably very, very good for your soul that way? Or would you rather have an album, but it was a miserable experience and you end up hating everything on it? That's, they're the two questions to ask yourself. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, ladies and gentlemen. Don't take my advice. And big thank you to Bernard. Thanks for all you do for the Fractal community. Your channel is amazing. Your skills and personality. Yeah, that is way too kind, mate. Thank you. That fills my heart up with joy. And I dropped my pick. So I should probably grab that one in there. I really like Lynch's Sacred Groove. That's one I have not listened to for a long time. A long time. Thank you for the reminder on there. That was a bit of a different one, I think, for a lot of people, but I mean, that was 30 years ago now. Wild. Absolutely wild. All right, I'm going to play another tune for you guys. I might do the new Ragdoll single, How Does That Sound, which we initially tracked drums for in 2018, and I think we did vocals for it in 2019, and we released it in 2023, so there's your, sometimes waiting a while for the right time to release something when you're in like a good frame of mind to release it, can kind of be nice. So yeah, anyway, this is good. These are good chats to have, and they're the reality for people. It's not just like, hey man, go and buy an Axe FX, an expensive guitar, and guess what? You'll be the most creative person on earth. Stuff doesn't work like that. Troy Nababan, do you have the feeling? I've got the feeling, mate. Everybody give Troy a shout out, because he's here in the chat, and you can ask him all your favorite gear podcast related questions about amps and exactly where you should notch the high end on a guitar to maintain a decent phase relationship between all tracks. And maybe Troy can jump in here, because he just rewired his Les Paul. 50s wiring versus modern thoughts. Ooh. Let's come back to that one. I'm going to play something for you more. You can all discuss amongst yourselves. So here's mate, here's the latest and greatest Troy Nababan rock band mix. Hey, Tondi, if you're still in the chat, mate, by Crash Test Dummies, what reverb did you use at the end there? Because there's some, I remember using a lot of that rotary thing. But, yeah, I noticed there's some shimmery goodness in there. Oh, the intro, yeah. Man, it's my favorite thing. It's literally my favorite part of anything where, because people are like, oh, yeah, cool. Vibe, bro. And then, you know, you get the hammer drops, Troy. You made the hammer drop. And that's just doubled guitars, right? Yeah, on the guitar. I just assumed that there's some, like, of the Big Sky plugin or something on there, but it might have been a bit of Plex or something like that. For anyone interested about those chorus chords as well, you know, we all need to acknowledge the GOAT, Ty Tabor. So the songs I'm in drop C. I think of this song as being in G. It's really like F. It's F rock, right? Because like that's a major third. And then there's this chorus chords. Basically, you got the 1 power chord, the 3, and the 5. But what you do is you chuck an open third string on the top, and then there's this drone note, which, man, what is it? I think it's the 5th. So, yeah, so you have that. That's the, whatever key this is in, that's the root note. It's in drop C, so it's technically an F, but it's a G, still a G. So you got the root and the 5 there, droning, but then you have that minor 6th chord in there, so it's, and then you just keep the drone on the top when you go up here. I just play it like that, and then you make it sound like G major-ish by playing. You have the droning B, but then you add the 11 on there. I just really want everything to be this chord, so that's that version of that chord. Do that with a clean sound, kids, and it sounds like a Police song that never made it. So power chord, sus4, major third, and then the second time is same, and you go to, I love that chord. Like, yeah, I know drop tunings. You just do that. No, that actually didn't sound like the worst thing in the world. Which King Crimson album is that one of? Anyway, they're the chorus chords as well. They're pretty fun. Pretty fun. Alfie Shine Wax, I use it on my tobacco pipes. A fantastic wax and was especially blended to replicate an old instrument wax. I see, that's very, very interesting. The Ragdoll song Shine has about 20 guitar tracks, 140-ish total in the session. The song All I Want has about 30 guitar tracks. How many backing vocals did we have on Self-Censored, Tondi? I feel like there was at least 50 tracks of vocals. We were chatting about this the other day about just, it was a different time, the 2010s now, where it was just like, yeah, do 100 tracks of guitar. Why not? It sounds sick. I think Heaven Above for the intro, we literally played it on every guitar I had here at the time. It's over 30 tracks. So yeah, that's pretty rad. But yeah, these, I mean, you know, makes it easy when you want to do your Kiss Unplugged version of the album, right? Because you already have the cool chords. Which Wild Cherry album is that off? Yeah, good one. I mean, look, I still love Self-Censored. That's one of my favorite Ragdoll songs. Dance of the Dogs by Lynch Mob uses that chord. Bob, I'm just starting to think that Lynch Mob album is the only thing that's ever really musically entered my brain, and I just regurgitated all about a decade later. Locking tuners would be a great factory feature for this instrument. I believe, look, locking tuners on everything are great. I didn't even realize PRS make locking tuners that retrofit the SEs, so I'm just going to get some because it will make life a lot easier, but, you know, it's also not the end of the world having to put like 4 or 5 wraps around a post, but It's so much easier with locking tuners. Yeah, play that funky music. That's the one with the whole throw that clean sound, yeah. Charla's a drop-ins on the SEs. Yes, that is good to know, Danny. Awesome. I do love a good Charla. I've got on my PRS Macati, because that doesn't come with the locking tuners, I've got the Gotto SD90, what do they call it, Magnum lock or something. So it doesn't look like a locking tuner. It's really, really nice. So if anybody, this is a good question. Tips on how to keep the steady hand mute playing power chords, newish player. I was going through this yesterday with somebody. We were talking about, you know, more specifically for alternate picking. And sometimes it can kind of feel like, you know, you don't get that. If you're playing a funky thing like that where you're really strumming with, say, a loose wrist and you're getting some of your arm into it, trying to get a bit of that to translate to playing when you're muting. So this part of your hand, whatever you want to call this, I feel like that's the real crux of everything in there. If you find what I would do is start by practicing power chords. Well, you know, I'm in drop C, so I'll do it on the D and I'll do it on the 4th and the 5th string, right there. Finding that sweet spot where, you know, you can get the angle that you want while still being able to like reach the chords and have that steady thing on there. So if you find a good place to put this, either on the bridge or on the body, then what that gives you is that ability to kind of move up and down the strings. So you could start by just kind of like, imagine like a strummy motion. Do all downs or do down and up if you want, whatever you want. And then you're going to just lower that. You're going to make that part of your wrist make contact with the body. You don't need that much contact. So you don't want to be like gripping it or pushing in or increasing tension or anything. And then, I mean, to me, the two aspects are like how far along the string you come and how deep you sink your pick into the string. You don't necessarily have to play harder. So, you know, not like very shallow on the string, so just the tip of it, and I'll move my hand up and down. But then if the pick goes a little bit lower, you're going to get more pick hitting the string. So it's like I'll do the set muting and I'll lower my pick. Actually not playing any harder. So yeah, that is a good one. And these foundational things are really, really important. Stuff like that where, man, I feel like so much of this stuff is like, it's like guitar is a finesse instrument. You know, I feel like once you read about Stevie Ray Vaughan using 13s in E flat with a high action, you're like, oh, obviously guitar is just UFC, so great. I'll just really apply myself and that's going to be how it is. But, you know, so many of the players I really admire, even if it looks like they're doing a lot, they're actually really finessing the guitar and, you know, they're getting the sound they want, but they're doing it in the most efficient way. Oh, Danny, man, this is a big question. But then I also raise a question: Mark II C+ or Mark IV? Man, I still have never played a real 2C+. There was one for sale that a buddy was selling, but it was a combo without the graphic EQ. And, I mean, look, it was reasonably priced, but it also didn't have the graphic EQ, so there's that aspect of it. And I've got a studio preamp, which, you know, as you know, and as you've told me, it's kind of like, it's close enough. You know, I feel like the differences there, once you factor in the rest of your signal chain, are probably going to like swamp it. So I like the Mark IV. The Mark IV's got its own look, every 2C plus thing I hear, it has that, there's this like dry, throaty thing that it has, whereas the Mark IV kind of is like a chestier. The Mark IIc Plus is like a smoker who smokes a packet a day, and they're, yeah, mate, it's pretty good. It's got that kind of thing. Whereas the Mark IV smoked a lot in its 20s and 30s, and 30 years later, it's got some effects, so it's kind of got the really chesty thing going on. Yeah. Got to bounce, Uncle Leon. See you on the phone. See you, Tondi. Everybody send Troy Nababan some lug. Send him some lugs, and send him some love as well. Guitar is not weightlifting. You mess yourself up real bad if you try to do that. Scott Brockway, thank you for saying that. And weightlifting is also... I feel like you can learn a lot about weightlifting from guitar as well, where, you know, the ego lifting stuff sometimes isn't as effective if you just actually want to, like, be healthy or build some muscle. Verstamp, are you mates with Kayan Hushmand? And if not, can you be? I really like his stuff. I think he's a great player. Never met the guy. I feel like I maybe interacted with him a few times on the internet, but yeah, should probably get him on the Gear podcast at some point because he's releasing some really, really good stuff. And, you know, is funny as well. Like, you can't be funny on guitar YouTube, right? You have to be earnest and serious at all times, right? So, yeah. I mean, look, this has come up before where, and I feel like on a live stream, someone was like, oh, are you like really playing really gently? And it's like, I am, but I'm also not, because you figure out how to get that. You know, I'm not playing the ragdoll stuff and sort of just, I'm not picking like this. It's still... You know, you can get that effect without having to, like, really over-exaggerate it. So, smoker is the exact word for it, but I feel like the Mark IV is a grown-up and the 2C Plus is the teenage wild one. Yeah, yeah. You know what the 2C Plus is? It's that episode of The Simpsons with the guy who works at Krusty Burger, if I had a girlfriend, she'd kill me. Yeah, I was listening to a thing about... Man, George got huge, hey. And, I mean, I think he looks... George looks amazing for his age, right? Like, clearly takes care of himself. But, yeah, that, like, bodybuilding phase in there. I listened to a podcast interview with him where he was saying he got into it, you know, because his sons were getting into sports and weightlifting, and it was like a group activity to do, which I thought was pretty cool. But, yeah, he was talking about, like, steroid use and all that kind of stuff, and, yeah, just, you know, everyone being on it. So it's like, you want to go in competitions? Well, of course, you just get on the juice. So not the way I like to get on the juice, ladies and gentlemen. You know, pitch detune is, they're the type of steroids I like to use. Where's my scene on here, you know? Because, hey, let's face it, this still sounds pretty good. But this is more good. So yeah, guitar steroids. Jace, what's going on, bro? The first Lynch Mob record was the only one that stopped my addiction to pornography. Yeah, actually, yeah, that was an error, wasn't it? Man, I got that Extreme record secondhand from Cash Converters here when I was in year 11, and I think I just listened to it for 6 months straight, and it still so did. So good. Jarrett Lowry, Kane Roberts got pretty big. Kane got Rambo big, didn't he? I mean, that was his whole thing, Rambo guitar, right? So, it still looks pretty jacked. Who's his name? He seems, I mean, everything I've seen with him, he seems like a super sweet dude. Kevin Frassard, he's gigantic. Like, you know, he absolutely crushes death metal riffs as well. He's, you know, but he's got a lot of really, really good videos just about, like, you know, everyday stuff and taking care of yourself and things like that. And yeah, I quite like Kevin's YouTube channel. It's an interesting mix between... I always feel like guitar is on this precipice of, like, guitar YouTube anyway. It's like, what do you want to be? Do you want to be like fitness YouTube where everybody's holding up some supplement that doesn't work? Like, oh my God, this pick that I got, and I'm totally not being paid to tell you, just made me play guitar 30% faster, and it made my dick 12% bigger. So you should all do it, kids who are impressionable. Do you want it to be that, or do you want it to be tech YouTube where it's like, okay, all that matters are the specs, and like getting too far into the technical aspect of it, not just like enjoying yourself and playing. So yeah. Listen, free stuff even sound better. Well, what are we talking about? I paid... Sorry, I'm trying to keep up with this chat. There was a question in here. The worst gig I've ever done. Ha! Where do you want to start, mate? The worst gig I've ever done. Okay. This is good. There's some good ones in here. I mean, there's two subcategories in here, right? They're the worst gigs I've ever done and they're my fault, or the worst gigs I've ever done and it's not my fault, but I was there, so they were bad gigs. Ooh, I mean, Ryan and I did a Mindsight gig recently where our gear just didn't show up. Airline didn't pack it, so none of your stuff, and we were there for a night, so it was sort of like we flew in, we had about 2 hours, it was fly in, get taken to a mining camp, it's like 10 minutes away from the airport, and then you got, an hour and a half to clean yourself up, set up the PA, have something to eat, then you do your gig. And yeah, our gear just didn't get put on the plane, and they had nothing there except for a karaoke speaker. And because Ryan is a champosaurus, we just did karaoke. I brought up YouTube and looked up like funny things you can do for karaoke, and he did like 2 hours of singing songs he liked. So he did a bunch of yacht rock, did a bunch of George Jones, did some old school country, did some Willie Nelson. It was the most different gig we've ever done. It was actually the best gig I've ever done because I played lead laptop, which is pretty awesome. But in terms of absolute stinkers that we've played, there was... we did a festival in the US once where it was a good lineup as well. We were really stoked to be a part of it, but I think they ended up selling 30 tickets. And yeah, there was literally like 30 people there in this gigantic field in Missouri. So that was pretty funny. Giant stage. It was... sounded really good, but I mean, the 30 people who were there were pretty into it, but yeah, that was one of those, gee... All right, we've come a long way for this one. Interesting. That one, I've definitely played some terrible ones where it's my fault, where, either not being prepared or having a bad attitude and things like that. So, yeah, man, there's got to be some more here. I feel like very early on when I started gigging, there's a high concentration of terrible gigs there, like showing up to... No, yeah, I got a good one. We played This was like 2010, 2011. We played a local pub, and we had a guy who would do our sound and kind of drive us around. Older guy, Russ. Still love Russell, is awesome, but he was very old school. And we bought this giant PA into this tiny pub, and they were like, look, can you sound check like 20 minutes before you go on? And we were like, nah, pro band, go to sound check. Had a big argument with the management. We were just dickheads about it. Looking back, absolute dickheads. We could have done it with a single PA speaker and it would have been fine, but yeah, we just like had no clue. So that was pretty bad. Having gear is always handy. I had a few shows in the States that we did. Man, where was that? We played in Sedalia, Missouri. It was actually a fun gig, but I thought we were going to get killed at one stage. This guy was like getting in Ryan's face, like getting up onto the stage. This huge dude. And, yeah, he sort of, like, got on stage, like, ready to hit him. And, yeah, I went, like, full Keith Richards. Like, I had my guitar off. So he's, like, this, and I've got the guitar like a bat. And we're just, like, the three of us standing on stage. Like, we're going to do this? So that wasn't very fun. And they kicked him out, luckily. But, so that was a bit hairy. Other than that, I mean, just... One thing that I always remember, it wasn't bad, it was actually an awesome gig, but we were doing this cover show for New Year's up in Broome, and like the solo in Sweet Child of Mine, the one where all that thing, I went to hit that bend and it was so hot up there that the string just like detuned by about a fifth, so rather than going, it was like... It sounded like a weird whammy or something like that. So that's a memorable one. But yeah, I mean, I've definitely done my fair share of absolute dog shit cover gigs. We did this one. Troy's not in the chat anymore, but it was a gig with Troy where we played... Where was it? It was in Coolgardie. And they had their it was their like community day. We were meant to do 6 sets, and we were just playing in this like family park, and no one was listening, and it kept raining. So we'd take all the gear off the stage, and it would clear up. Then we go and set it up again, and it would start raining. So we played like 2 sets. So yeah, that was particularly memorably dumb. But you know, we got paid. It's all fine. Convince me not to sell my Les Paul that I won in the raffle to buy another PRS. Sounds great, plays great, but the ridiculous weight makes it uncomfortable. Man, I'm not gonna stand in the way of that and true love. You know, especially if you like the PRS, right? So yeah, it's well, Les Pauls are great, but you know, I know you might be able to flip it and get something like a DGT or something like that, which I would highly recommend. I'm in an argument with a friend. Another hype question: is the Rev F that much of an epic thing, or Rev G Tremor Verb Multibot's basically the same thing? Oh man, like they're like I've got a transition Rev F Rev G, and it's really good, but like it's not some magical thing, you know. It's like literally the Recto 1 model in the AXFX pretty much does the thing as well. Yeah. I don't know. Overpriced tech can give you the feeling you play better sounding gear. Yeah, maybe. You know, also some technology like the stuff I'm playing at the moment is like well worth the price of admission if it completes things that you want to do musically and you have the money to pay for it. So yeah, I don't think it's really there is this thing with guitar and music where we try to sort of moralize choices. Man, like the only justification for owning something you need is that you can afford to buy it. That's pretty much it. Everything else is kind of noise. You know, if you've got a $20,000 Les Paul, like good on you. Like you felt that spending $20,000 was worthwhile, and you know, it doesn't mean that someone who spent $2,000 on a Les Paul has something that's worth 10 times less. It's just that you value that thing. So we got a question or a comment from Bob. Preparing for shows where someone important might be there, do you practice playing your guitar parts with your eyes closed in case the lighting person puts you in the dark or blinds you? Man, this is an excellent topic, because I feel like so much of what people think they should practice for playing live is stuff that you don't need. There was a great Paul Gilbert interview where he was talking about practicing technical stuff. And he kind of made the point that if I'm going to play something on stage, I need to be able to play it at home 40% better or faster, because, you know, I'm probably not going to be able to see. I'm going to be hot on stage. There's going to be screaming people. I might not be able to hear myself. You know, the smoke machine might get in my eyes and might blind me for a second or something like that. So yeah, it's what's the saying? I was reading something, you know, I'm a Australian, so of course I'm a cricket fan. I played cricket as a kid, but the like sports psychology behind stuff where it's like, how do you want to fail? That's how you should approach practicing. And that's how you should approach your attitude to going on stage. Because something like everything might go totally wrong. So, you know, if stuff goes totally wrong and your guitar explodes in your hands, like, do you want to have a hissy fit and trash the stage? Or do you want to just be in a position where you're like, oh, well, you know, there's always next time, and I'm not going to just absolutely ruin my reputation for this, and I'm still going to be decent to people, because no matter the situation, people deserve to be treated decently. So, yeah, going through and, yeah, practicing blindfolded, or something I'll do is obviously practice the set list standing up, but like practice moving around, you know, and if you're going to be someone who, you know, you playing a metal gig, you're going to put your foot on the monitor a bunch and you're going to headbang, like actually practice doing that. One weird thing that I do, and I notice it live sometimes using a wah, is, you know, you're playing all your guitar solos with a wah, so you sort of like want to look cool when you're playing. So it's like, how do you stand? And this is the most vain thing ever, but what I notice is sometimes I'll spend too much of the gig with like 60 to 70% of my weight on my left leg or my right leg, so I'm unbalanced and I get quite, you know, you get that unbalancing. So it's literally just like practicing doing all this stuff and what, centering yourself. It's like, I don't know, mindfulness or something like that. It's just making sure that when you're in the heat of battle, you have a strategy to deal with something. So a big thing for me sometimes is like literally just go on stage and the height of my strap might be slightly different, and I can't, like, I'm not grabbing pinched harmonics properly. So it's like, oh, you just need to move your hand a little bit closer or further away from the bridge and it will probably fix it. Breathing, you know, the first 3 songs in an original set are always like an aerobic workout there. So there's that aspect of it as well. So putting yourself in that, practicing the stressful elements of it, I think are well worth it, because it's mostly psychology. And you can play the songs. Most people, if they can play a song, they can do it with their eyes closed. They just have the habit of looking down there. So that is excellent advice and an excellent thing to consider. All the extra stuff that's not like, am I playing C sharp or D flat? Hey Brett, I'm glad you made one as well, mate. Any guitar vanity seems to disappear the older you get. Probably, yeah. Practice songs until you can do them in your sleep, basically. Yeah, exactly. I feel like you have to practice the songs to the point where you get good, and then you keep practicing and you actually get worse at them, but then you get better again. That's the actual curve of getting good at stuff. How are things going with the band? Good. We have a show coming up. What day is it today? Saturday. This Friday, and we've got 2 more shows this month in Perth, and we've got a fly thing. So yeah, it's good. Everyone's happy and healthy and, you know, enjoying their lives. Cam's going to the States in December to see the final Kiss shows as well, which is pretty exciting. He's a very, very big Kiss fan. And yeah, we've got some summer stuff lined up, which will be pretty cool. So you'll see little vlogs and things like that coming out. What's the time? It's nearly 12:30 here. All right, I am going to play one more song for you, and I'll wish everybody a great evening or day if your day's just getting started. Thanks for tuning in as always. Thanks to everybody with the super chats. Super duper generous. Again, if you want free IRs or you want to come and hang out on Discord, that stuff is linked in the video description. Gear acquisition syndrome because you're not a one brand guy. Hey man, you know, it's all good. It's all good stuff. I've come to peace with the fact that I really, really like guitar gear. Guitar is also my main hobby, so, and I like collecting things, so, you know, I'm not going to fight that. On the Axifix, is there a way to make the layout change when you switch presets? There is. They are called layout links. I'm pretty sure Cooper has a really good video with it, Matt, so go and check that one out. But yeah, there is a way to set up layout links so that, say, when you press a preset button, it will take you to the particular layout that you want, so... And yeah, good on you, Brett. I'm going to play a Ragdoll song called Playing God because I just really enjoy playing it. Sorry, one more from Andy. Playing in Sydney and Newcastle. Nothing booked at the moment. We haven't played in Sydney for... Well, we were there a year ago, actually. And we played at Frankie's before it closed. So, yeah, trying to find somewhere to play there. I've got a lot of people, like a lot of buddies in Sydney. And my parents are originally from Sydney, so a lot of family there as well. So... and my wife was there last week as well. She went and saw the Ghost show and went to Wicked and a bunch of cool things. So, yeah, all right. I'm going to do Playing God. You guys have an excellent, excellent day, and I'll probably have a video coming out in about 3.5 hours. So there's that aspect as well. Take it easy, everybody. Appreciate it. Nice hanging.